Welcome to part 2 of the HitFilm4Express technology video tutorial for the Positive Learning for University unit. In this video we will look at adding and editing media on the timeline. The first thing we need to do when creating a movie in HitFilm4Express is to save our project. Now don't forget to save your work regularly as you create so you don't lose hours of work at the end. When you save a project in HitFilm4Express, what you are saving is the project with all the media files so that you can come back and edit at any time. We will be exporting our final creation to a different file format such as MP4 or WMV. To save, we simply go to File and Save As. Find the folder we wish to save our project in. Name the project. I'm going to name mine simply Test Video Project. Leave it at HFP because that stands for Hit Film Project, and click Save. As you work on your project, you can continue to save by either clicking File and Save or simply clicking Ctrl S and it will save your project. Back to creating our movie. We need to import the media we will use in our project. You can import a variety of media, including images, videos and audio. To start, simply go to the Import button and open the file that your media is in. I'm going to start by importing my images. Simply click on the images you want. You can shift and click to select a group of images or control click. Click open and you'll see the images come into the media folder. As you can see them all down there. You have a choice of views on your media folder. You can either see them in preview mode or you can go to list mode where you can see what they are and their names. I'm also going to import some audio. I'm just going to pop a couple of audio tracks in there and some video. Now within your media folder you can tidy that up by placing all of your images in separate folders. So I'm going to create a folder called Images for all my still images and simply click on these and drag them into that folder. Again, you can shift click to choose new number of images or control click to choose selections. You need to make certain that all of the media you will use is stored in one folder. HitFilm4Express does not edit the actual files, it just creates a copy of each file. If you move any of the files out of the folder that they were in when you imported them, you will not be able to edit them in HitFilm4Express. So make a copy of anything you are going to use and place it in the folder made specifically for the project. As an example, if I was to open my images folder and we'll have a look at the A3 world view. If I go to the folder that's saved in and delete that world view, we should notice that it becomes file not found in our files. So as I said, make sure that anything you have, just undo that, anything that you import stays in the same folder that you imported it from so that it is available and able to be found in HitFilm4Express. Rightio. So we're going to start with showing how a video can be used. We have our video here, Ephemeral Dreams. Now there are two ways to edit this video. The first one is to double click and it will open up in our preview box up here, or the trimmer box as it's called, and you have a little line here that you can drag along which will take you through the video, and you can choose the area you wish to be. You can also play it so that you can be more exact in your choosing, of course. Once you've gotten to the point that you want the video to start at, you can choose to set an in point that will start the clip that we're going to use. Then you can play it, or again drag it through. To the point that you want to stop and set an out point. Once you've done that, you can simply drag this down and place it on the timeline. In the pop-up box, the editor sequence settings difference to your clip settings you are adding. Do you want to change the editor settings to match the clip? I'm going to go no, because I don't want my whole film to change. I want my clip to suit the size that I've selected. I'm simply going to go into the film and resize to suit the actual size that I've got there. There are a number of ways of resizing. You can either do it in your video view, making sure that you are clicked on the clip you want to, or the media that you want to edit in here. Or you can go to controls and there is a transform icon that you can use to scale down or up. You can also move it simply by clicking on the green arrow for up or down. If you look at the control box, you will see that the position is moving accordingly. Also with the red box for horizontal positioning side to side. And if you click on the blue square, you will see a circle pop up that allows you to rotate your image. Now I'm not happy with the audio. I am going to add a completely different audio for my slideshow. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to right click on my clip in the timeline and go up to where it says unlink. If I click away from the media, then go down and click on the audio in the bottom of the timeline, I can hit delete and remove the audio so that I only have the video that I want to use. And you'll notice that there's now no sound as we play through the video. I can scrub through and see what's happening. Now, once I've got my video in the timeline here, I've decided I don't really want that rows. I'd like to actually start my video as the screen becomes white. There are a couple of ways of editing clips within the timeline. The first one is you can simply go to the end, left click, and you can drag so that the clip only starts at the point you want it to. I'll undo that. Another way of doing this is by clicking on the slice tool. You can take the slice tool over, and if you click at the point that you want to change, go back to your select tool, select the clip you want to get rid of and hit delete. And that leaves us with simply our white moving on to black bit of video. When cropping the video, it is not a permanent delete. You can resize your video out and the actual video is still there. It is just temporary. Now that we have our video clip to the size we want it, I'm going to go back to media and I'm going to start importing some of my images. If you drag an image into the timeline, you will notice it drags in and it sits at 6 seconds. Now you can make this sit for longer by simply extending that media clip on the timeline or shorter. It's quite easy to manipulate images. You can choose to import a number of images or one at a time, simply by clicking and holding shift as you select your images, and then you can drag them on and you'll see they all drag on one after the other. Now the images again will come in to their set size, and to resize them again you can go to your controls, make sure you are clicked on the image that you wish to resize, go to transform, and you can simply resize down with the transform controls. Or if you like to be more hands-on with controlling it, you can change your view simply by clicking in the view and again control scrolling out, and you can see the guidelines on your image. You can warp this image just by clicking on a corner. However, it's best to keep images in perspective, and to do that you need to hold shift as you bring your image smaller or bigger to keep it in the same aspect ratio. Now I'm going to do that with each of the images. I'm going to drag my little bar over to the image that I want, click on the image so I can see it, and resize, holding shift to get it to the size of. If you can't see the controls, you will need to zoom out even further. You can do that again either through control scrolling or in that little bottom corner to the zoom icon. So if I click on this and bring it in so we can see the image, again move it over, click on my image, shift and resize. I'll do that with all of the images so that they fit the screen nicely. Rightio, and I'm going to control and scroll back out so that that is filling the screen. Or, as I say, go to your zoom, scale to fit will fit your screen so you can see as much of the video as you like. If you feel you need to see more in the video preview area, the interface is completely editable, so you can drag your video screen bigger so that you can see it more than the other sections of the interface. The other thing you can do with the interface is there is a little grid up on the toolbar at the top. If you click on that, you will see that there are a variety of workspaces that you can use. So you can have all panels clicked, which shows all of the panels. Classic. Again, this just moves things around to different places, but you will find the same things. So our trimmer, or what I call the preview box, our media, control files, tabs, our effects, text and history, our timeline, and our actual video viewer. Compositing and editing, which is the original size that we had. I do tend to like to make my viewing screen a little bit bigger so that I have space to be able to see what's happening, but at times when you get a lot of clips on your timeline, you'll want to make that smaller so that you can see your timeline. Now that we have a number of files down here, you'll notice there's a big gap. We don't need this, so we can either select all of the clips and drag them along to butt up against the next one. Otherwise we will have a section where it just plays a black screen with nothing else on it. As we don't want that, we can either drag them over, or if you right click on the empty space, you can hit the ripple delete. What this will do is it deletes that gap and allows you to have your clip, each of your clips butted up neatly against one another. If we zoom in a little bit, we'll notice that there's another gap at the beginning here. I'm just going to ripple delete that as well. The whole timeline. We'll zoom back out so I can see the whole timeline. Now, if I feel that one of my images isn't bright enough, I'll just go back to that flower. I can always add an effect to any of the clips on the timeline to brighten or edit them in some way. I'm going to click on that image that I want to edit. I'm going to go to effects and I'm going to go to color correction. Now, as you can see, there are a variety of effects here, and it's worth having a look around and playing with them and seeing what you can do with them. But for some simple color correction, I'm going to go down to curves. Curves is a nice effect for just adding some lightness or darkness to an image. Once you've done that, you'll notice it pops up to controls, and in the controls the curves appears. If you toggle the item open, you will see that there's a little bar. Now with this bar, if I simply click on it and drag it up, you can see the rows get brighter, or if I drag it down it will get darker. So I'm simply going to lift that line up a little bit to make that a nice, slightly brighter image of the rows. Again, as I've said, have a play around with some of these different effects, because there are a number of effects in here that you can use that will either fix or add to any of your images. And there are effects that will create some really cool fun effects. So if we were to put the find edges on this image, you'll notice that we now have a black image with what looks like glowing edges. If we undo that one, for a different thing, we can do an oil painting effect, which gives you a bit more of an oil painting look. If we pop the levels and the radius up on that, you'll notice that we can really play around with making it look a bit fun. As I said, I don't want that on this one, I simply want a photo. But again, don't be afraid to play around, because anything you can do can be undone or it can be deleted. So this is the Photorama effect. To add a little bit of grunge there, I'll delete that one. Tint, if you'd like a tinted effect. So this is tinting it to get rid of the actual colour, bringing it to a black and white. And again, I'm just going to leave my photo with its slight curves, but don't be afraid to play around and add some different effects into your timeline or onto any of your images. Once we've been through and had a look and we're happy that all of our images are bright and have a nice colouring, pop another curves on here just to brighten it up so that it really pops. What we can do is add some audio to our clip. To do that, we'll go back to our media. I'm just going to go back to the list view so I can see what I have. Close my images folder, and we have a couple of pieces of music here that I'm going to place on the timeline. There's a lovely acoustic guitar. Now again, I can either drag this onto the timeline and just drag it in, or if I wanted to, I could double click, open it in the trimmer, and I could play it or drag it along to the point I want to stop and hit my out point, and then drag that down to my timeline. Now you'll notice at the moment there are only 2 blocks on the timeline. This, we can add more clips above and below, and what happens with our timeline with audio is that they are each played over the top of each other. So if you had sound effects you wanted to add, or if you had a voiceover that you had and then you wanted to add some nice background music, you could simply add each clip below each other and they would play at the same time. With images, you can add an image or any of your clips and you can place them above. Now they will sit over the top, so once you get to that image, you'll notice that the flower drop that I have there is sitting over the other image. I don't want that at this point. I'll get rid of that extra audio clip. At the moment I have some nice acoustic guitar music. It's a little bit loud. Now there are a couple of ways of bringing that down quieter. You can see a blue line on your audio clip. You can simply drag that line down and that will make your clip quieter or louder. I want it a little bit quieter so it's a nice soft gentle background music. The other way of doing it is again to go into your controls, click on that clip, and when you go to properties you'll notice your volume level, so you can again bring that up or down depending on where you want it. Bring that up a bit, there you go, at a nice soft level. The next thing we need to do with our audio clip, as I've chopped it off at the end, and it just stops suddenly, what I'd like to do is fade it gently. To do that we can go into our effects and we can go down to our audio transitions, and in there we have a fade effect. So if we drag this to the end of our audio loop, you can see a little green line there. Let's zoom in so we can see that a bit better, and you'll see that there's a blue block there. That's our fade block. We can make that a fairly long fade so that it takes time to fade away. Or we can make it a short fade by bringing it down again so it fades quickly. I tend to like a slightly longer fade, so I'm going to bring that out. We can do the same at the beginning of a clip. If you wish to fade in, you can add the same fade by just going to effects and doing the same process. I don't think we need that because the guitar starts out quite nicely. Thank you for watching part 2 of the HitFilm4Express technology video tutorial for the Positive Learning for University unit. In the next video, we will be looking at adding text to the project. Thank you. Bye.